That was it? 2 minutes? I said for another episode of this show for 2 minutes of a crossover? Damn you, writers. Oh, hey everyone. This is Joe here from ActionX, and welcome to a very special episode of What's on the Tube, or welcome back if you are returning, I guess. Not really here. It's a special one-off episode. We are reviewing tonight Riverdale special Katy Keene crossover episode, which I like to call Katy Keene episode 0, aka 2 minutes of a crossover. Now, here's the thing. When I heard the announcement that there was going to be a crossover on Riverdale before Katy Keene started up, now before anyone else, I have not yet seen Katy Keene episode 1. Regardless of when this is posting, I haven't seen it yet. And I'll give my thoughts on everything in a second. But I was very much debating, like, I had no idea how to expect from this episode how they were going to handle the crossover, going as this is a prequel, because the Katy Keene spinoff is taking place 5 years after the events of this episode. So the college years are done, supposedly for the main Riverdale crew, so we're in a very new area of the timeline in the Riverdale universe that encompasses Riverdale, Sabrina, and now Katy Keene. So we're in this whole new timeline here, but so I was a bit like curious, like how are they going to work out this crossover thing, especially the fact that they've already admitted that doing future crossovers will either mean we're going to get prequel versions of the Katy Keene characters, or we're going to get future versions of the Riverdale characters now that Riverdale has been renewed for season 5. What does that mean for next season? Who fucking knows? And after this episode, I don't know anymore. Like, here's the thing. If you watch my Riverdale season 1 to 4 changes video, I did at the very end of last year. I'm just going to say this. I am not a big fan of Riverdale currently with the current storyline. Now, I decided to give the rest of season 4 a chance to impress me, and there are some things I am impressed about, and there's just some things I'm just like baffling in the head, and I've opted like, am I just gonna review the 2 minutes that we got to see Katy Keene in action before we get into her her own show next time? And I've opted, you know what, I'm gonna entertain y'all, because here's the thing, I am not reviewing anything else of Riverdale season 4 unless I do a full season review, but I'm not doing episode by episode review, those breakdowns. I'm not. It's too much for me to handle. Plus, scheduling wise, doing Nancy Drew on Wednesdays to go on Thursday night, it's just too much for me to handle already. So with that being said, enjoy your little taste of me ranting a lot about Riverdale season 4, since the fact I don't do this on the weekly, and I've only touched the surface that was this season. But anyway, so I'm going to just start off with the Katy Keene overall storyline that involved the Veronica, and so, because the whole point of the episode was Veronica, at least Veronica, at some point she was going to New York for a college interview, and she decides to, you know what, I have a friend from the old days named Katy Keene, ironically going to be starting her own show in like a few years, or tomorrow night, and it was convenient, ironic. They could have easily not let it happen, but like, you know what? Let the full connect. It makes sense organically for these characters to have a connection, but obviously when we get to next time of another organic connection between Katy Keene and another Riverdale character, we'll see how that turns out next time. But I'm talking a lot about next time. Let's talk about this episode to go. Now, before I continue, obviously, what were my overall thoughts on this specific episode of Riverdale season 4? Oh boy, well, it's more Riverdale, I'll say that. More stuff that makes sense, more stuff that doesn't make sense, and more stuff that is like, this show is turning more into Degrassi, as I've seen more of it, and some of it's not that good. Anyway, so I thought it was an okay episode, I guess. I mean, some of the storylines worked, some of the storylines like are a little bit, they're still stretching way too far for me. It's like, there's absolutely no way these teenagers are going through this much darkness in, well, not really darkness, but like more negative stuff after the last 2 years of like really dark shit, let me tell you what, and pardon my language. And yeah, so I thought this was an okay episode by, Riverdale standards. I didn't hate it. I didn't get like really lost in the weeds about it, but I didn't really exactly like enjoy it. And you'll hear my thoughts as we progress. But then let's go to the butchered recap. So we're going to start with the Katy Keene storyline, because that's kind of like the real focus on why I'm even doing this. Because this, and I'll give it the reason why I said this was an okay episode, because they did such a good job giving us enough of Katy Keene to be like, oh, this was a very interesting character. I would love to see her like have her own storyline, and we're going to. But let's get some background on it first. So on Veronica's side, considering the fact on Riverdale, literally all the four main characters, the core four characters you assume are best friends. They help each other out. They're always together. They're all doing their own things. Like Archie's got his own thing, Betty's got her own thing, Jughead's got his own thing, Veronica's got her own thing, and sometimes they intersect whenever the writers say, you know what, screw it, we haven't seen a scene with these guys in a while, so why not? Let's go for it. So, with that being said, on Veronica's storyline, she's still going through trying to find what college she's going to go into after she declined to go to Harvard, to kind of not follow her father's footsteps, which has been a major recurring theme in the last two seasons, especially this season. She's trying to establish her own legacy beyond her father's corrupt ways. And one of the things she wants to do is like go to her own college on her own merits, earn her place in a college. And she thinks this college in New York is the best fit for her. And see what happens. Ironically speaking, and this is Riverdale, it's ironically that these characters are in the same scene, or they're going the same direction for whatever single reason. It turns out Veronica's going off to New York for a couple of days to kind of do this interview, do a shopping spree to kind of get all glamored up for the big interview. And her parents are tagging along too, for business reasons. Because, why not? We didn't get to see a single scene with these characters, so it literally could have just been like, okay, we're going to do this off screen, or we could just not mention it at all. But it was like, no, they hammered it down, like, we're going to go to Manhattan with you. So it's like, okay. So we cut to Manhattan. And do we see anything in Manhattan? Not entirely. I mean, again, I'm a little bit confused on this. I'm aware the Katy Keene show is filmed here in New York. And I haven't seen a single ounce of production crew going on around. I have not. So with that being said, what does that mean for these specific shots where we see Katy Keene? Now, to be honest, I honestly don't know if the actress who played Veronica went up to New York to film those scenes, or they had Lucy Hale, who plays Katy Keene, fly up to Vancouver to do her scenes for the Riverdale episode. I really don't know. They didn't really make that clear in the crossover announcement. And it gives enough of Katy Keene where it's like, this episode could have had more Katy Keene stuff. Here's the thing. Baseline, hand down, I think Lucy Hall does a really good job as Katy Keene, just on these first 2 minutes alone. We get emotion from her, we get a certain range of her, we get a brief look into her character, seeing some of the aspects of her life, introducing some concepts of character that we don't get to see in this episode. We get the setup when we do get to see them, hopefully in the real show. And I like the way how they did this. I really liked it. It's poignant. I can't speak English. It's just the right amount where it's like this could have literally been like Veronica having an issue in New York and Katy Keene trying to solve it. That could have literally been the episode. I would have been okay with it because it's Riverdale. I mean, at this point, I'll take anything I can get. And before I continue, if you notice me really bashing on Riverdale, I have a legitimate reason. Wait till we get to the rest of the episode. Wait till that. But anyway, they could have literally expanded more of it. And my guess is that they were filming the Katy Keene series alongside Riverdale while they were filming the rest of their episodes. So I'm assuming that it was a very limited window they can get Lucy Hale for the season. So I guess it was just like a day trip or maybe 2 days at the end of the day. So anyway, so we get to see Veronica go to this shopping center. Again, here's the thing. I'm a very unconscious why this does not look recognizable to me. I don't see this fitting into New York. But maybe it does. I'm not a fashion person. And we get to see them doing a little fashion shopping. We get to see. This is the thing I loved about this specific shopping montage scene. Now, again, I've seen so many shopping montage scenes in my life through movies and shows, so I know a good one with the right music, with the right subtle cues, and they didn't really hammer it home that Katy Keene is into fashion. She wants to be this fashion consultant in the future. We don't get a lot of nailing down on those aspects, really. We really got to see more of her, her looks through her body cues, through her expressions. And I legitimately believe, had I not researched about Katy Keene as a character, plus all the things I need to know about the show, I would have instantly figured it out. Oh, she's really into fashion. She has an eye for fashion. And they did such a good job conveying that. And again, it's another great job Lucy Hale did. She acted through her body. And it's sometimes a little difficult to do that. Not everyone can do it. Some feels very forced, some doesn't feel very natural. This definitely feels natural. And I gotta give her, Lucy Hale, a lot of credit for that. And so they wrap up their fashion montage scene. And I literally thought for a good moment this was just going to be the only scene in the episode, and it was because Veronica was getting ready to leave But Katie was like, no, why don't you stay? I know this great place that me and my friend, someone who's going to be on the show, the one of the other core characters, we know this place in the city. I think it's called Moxie's. I'm getting a lot of Borderlands 3 flashbacks here, so I'm gonna say it's Moxie's. I could be wrong again. Correct me in the comments. And so they're off to do that, and it's a little bit of a while till we get to see them again. We got to get it for a lot of the main Riverdale storylines before we get back to Katy Keene. And sadly, the next scene is the last scene we see her. So we get to Moxie's, and I think Veronica's getting... I don't know who is wrapping up their life story. I think Veronica is finishing up, telling her what's been going on in Riverdale. I could be... I literally just watched this episode like 5 minutes ago. I already forgot everything, because the rest of the Riverdale stuff like really boggled down my mind, and it makes me crazy. Anyway, so we do get a little bit more semi-exposition on Katy Keene. Some of this stuff does definitely feel like, okay, we're just really... We're trying to get a little bit more information so that the fans would be interested in seeing her show in the next night when this aired. And so we got to hear about how Katie met her current boyfriend, which apparently they just became super official recently. And they met for Veronica's quinceañera, which I'm assuming predates the show. Yeah, that makes sense. So probably this was the last thing that Veronica did before she left for Riverdale proper. So... And it was very sweet, the typical, like, I'm pretty sure this is her first love, he's a boxer, something I also figured out reading the casting information. And I think Katie, so she's going through that, and then Veronica asks, oh, how's your mom doing? How's the shop doing? Obviously, Katie got her love through fashion for her mom's I don't know if it's her own fashion shop or maybe a sewing shop. I don't remember what it is. We'll probably get to see it in Katy Keene's premiere episode probably. But Katie does drop some bad news that her mom has been diagnosed with a disease and she's getting really sick. So Katie's definitely showing signs. And it's another great thing that Lucy did. Like, she suddenly turned a 90-degree turn where she was like really happy about finding a really great guy, and then she had to turn it around to the fact that she might be losing her mom. And I personally don't understand the feeling, but I do understand losing someone you love is very hard, especially like someone that's your family but also your best friend. It's a really horrible feeling to have, and I really feel for her in that scene where she doesn't know how long she has. And I'm now really scared for the pilot next time, because what did happen? Did she live? Did she die? I mean, we don't know. Obviously 5 years, a lot can happen in 5 years, so 4 or 5 years, I don't know the time frame exactly. I know it's around 4 to 5 years. I know that. So, Veronica. Another moment we got was that. Oh no! Now I remember what they were talking about. So Veronica was talking about the college, and then most likely she's going to get in. So her and Katie is going to be seeing each other more often. And Katie asked the question: is Archie going to come through? And Veronica's like, honestly, at this point, given the current storyline with Archie, she doesn't believe he'll be leaving Riverdale anytime soon. So most likely they'll have to do long distance, most likely, and then that's when we get the segue to her, Katie's new current boyfriend, and then we find. Well, let's go back to where we were before, and then Veronica and Katie get a very nice hug, and that kind of wraps up Katie's portion of the episode. Again, I'm assuming this was just a one-day trip for Lucy Hall to come in, do her scenes, and then fly back out to her own show to kind of wrap up Veronica's storyline here before we get to the. Now, this is where I kind of like this falls apart. This could be faking it. This could be maybe a genuine moment of turning, and I don't know, man. I don't know. So we head back to Riverdale proper, and Veronica's mom's telling Veronica that, hey, listen, by the way, we did not go to Manhattan for business trips. We went there to see a doctor because apparently your dad has a disease where now his motor skills, his muscles are going to start like failing on him, so he's going to be changing soon. And I mean, here's the thing why I don't buy it. Again, I'm not denying these diseases don't exist. I just find it very weird because this guy's really, really, like, Veronica's really buff. Like, if you've seen that Riverdale Season 3 boxing episode, like, he's really buff. And it's kind of hard. Like, I get, like, no one, like, just because you have the body of a god, it doesn't mean you're, like, immune to disease. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just, it's a little perplexing to me. This all seems too convenient. So they have a very tearful scene that while there's assistance, there's medication, there's therapy to help him potentially help him. It's not a guaranteed fix that he's going to be fine. And we cut to later Veronica admitting that she did get accepted to the college in the city. She's going to move in August, and that she's going to be changing her name back to Lodge. And again, I mean, the promo for next week does signify that not everything's peachy with that decision. I guess something else is more wrong. We'll find out next week, but well, you guys will find out next week. I'll find out next time, but I'm not going to be reviewing that. I still find this a little fishy. This all seems too convenient. I think something's up again, because this is Hiram Watch we're talking about. This guy literally got Archie arrested for a whole summer. He literally put him through jail. You know how much more crap he's done in Riverdale? I just personally don't see it. I personally do not see a redemption story arc in his future. But I could be wrong. Who knows? I mean, again, writers know better than me some of the times. So I could literally just end it here and just say, watch the rest of the episode if you want to know what else has happened. But you know what? I'm a people pleaser. I'm going to talk about the rest of the season. The rest of the episode with you guys, because I like you guys a lot. Anyway, where do I start? I guess we can start with the Archie storyline. That seems the more bearable one. So, in the recent weeks on Riverdale, conveniently enough, Archie's long-estranged uncle comes to town. And he's been trying to earn his trust back with the rest of the Riverdale residents, as a lot of people do not like him when he was around originally. And it's another callback that I guess he was meant to serve in for, what's this guy? Goddamn, for Fred Andrews, Luke Perry, R.I.P. And there are some moments like I thought this was just generally just trying to fill the father figure role in Archie's life, but the more I got to see Frank, it's like, okay, he's a genuine guy who's trying to change. He's trying to be better, especially to now the fact that his brother's gone. And again, I know that obviously they couldn't fit him into the memorial episode because there was just so much going on in that episode. So I guess they had to slid him in here at this point in the storyline. So that kind of makes sense, not really. So in this episode, we got to see him kind of settle down at the construction site after last week's episode, and another old pal comes to town. One of what was his name? Oh god, I forgot his name. I forgot his name. God damn it. Let's just call him Archie's uncle, because I'm blanking on his name already. And I think this is his last episode, so I'm pretty sure he's gone after this. So they're about to wrap up for the day. One of his war buddies comes back, kind of informs him, hey, listen, one of our old comrades, he passed away recently. He's kind of going around, he's going all around to kind of like break the bad news. I'm like, you could have just called. And I don't even know he was in Riverdale. Like, I don't think he was very communicative on his old friends about his current whereabouts. That could be wrong. But Archie invites him for dinner at the house because his mom is off on handling a case, and this is definitely another one of the signs where I have heard that since, because of Luke Perry's had his passing, that Molly Ringwald's character as his mom was going to step up more around to kind of fill in the shoes of the parental figure. But however, Molly Ringwald, very expensive actress and does not live in Vancouver, so very difficult to kind of try. I'm sure they did the best they could with the budget and her availability. So this made sense in terms of like her profession, her storyline. And so anyway, then we come back to the Archie residence. They're having some dinner, kind of checking up some old times. He's about to leave, but Archie said, "You know what? Just stay for the night. You know, we have the extra space." So he accepts. Next morning, Archie's about to be late for school. He leaves, and Archie's uncle's about to drop him off at the bus station, but he gets like a very hectic call from someone saying, "Hey, listen, Ducky's been killed." And another thing, who the fuck nicknames their friend Ducky? But it turns out that something's amiss, and I'm like, oh no, this guy's trouble. He turns around, he gets attacked by his friend, and it's a really intense fight. It's a really intense fight where there was my moments like, is he gonna die? Are we gonna have another death here in the Andrews family? But Archie shows up, knocks him out. But instead of doing the logical way and chase after him, he just lets him go. And we cut back, and apparently, what had happened was previously is that Archie's uncle, after he left service, he got another call from that guy specifically saying, "Listen, I got some job for you. These people are hiring ex-military. It's great pay, great job, not that much action." Turns out they were mercenaries. So that's not entirely legal. So After he quit, he's guessing that the company that hired them is trying to cut off all their loose ends, so which includes them. So he's probably there to be hunted down, so they don't know what to do. So they go to Mr. Jones, the sheriff, kind of like formulate a plan. How do we take this guy down? They decide, let's conveniently place them in the gym, swat him, and get him arrested. And yeah, I'm really going breezy through here because like that's not really much to say. The guy gets locked up. He kind of like rats out Archie's uncle, like, oh, why don't you charge him too? Because he's done some shady shit too. Even though I don't know, Mr. Jones playing coy about it or he was just trying to defend him. I really don't know. And we cut back to the Andrew's residence, and we get to see them talking about how the fact, like, listen, I can't stay around here any longer. You know, they're going to be looking after me soon. I don't know how long I got. I'm probably going to dip after this, go to Alaska, stuff like that. Archie tries to fight him. It's like, no, you need to stand your ground, turn yourself in, you know, try and get a plea deal or something. He's not having it. He's like, listen, this is the best for everyone. Just take care of your mom. You know, maybe I'll come back if things die down. Probably not. So we kind of leave it at that. We cut back to the jail, and I'm like, oh my freaking God, you idiots. This guy acted dead, and the guy who's delivering his meal. Freaking why? Have these cops not seen a prison break movie or a jailbreak movie? I mean, are you serious? You're conveniently, this guy's like, it could be obviously, maybe it was like, oh, the rest of the mercenaries are in town, they're killing him too, and they're gonna kill Archie's uncle. But no, the guy's still alive. He was faking his death, and presumably he kills him or attacks him or stuff like that. Like, how about you bring a secondary guy to help you out? How about that, writers? How about that? But we cut back to the school where Archie gets a call from Mr. Jones that, listen, the guy's escaped. You gotta be on the lookout. He might be coming after you, stuff like that. And conveniently enough, the guy just appeared right behind him as soon as the call ends. Literally the same exact moment he hangs up the phone. I'm like, God damn it. So they engage in for me personally, this had a little bit too much. Okay, here are my 3 problems with this fight scene. I think it's I think they did a good job choreographing it. But my only issue is that everything just seemed breakable. Now, it could be because the guy's super strong because he is an ex-mercenary or a mercenary, so I guess he's got some super strength in him. But they just really destroyed a lot of the school here. My second reason, like, obviously it's as a mercenary he probably sneaked around somehow, but how do you not have security systems in a school that has been screwed over for nearly 3 years? You faced a murder in your midst, a serial killer, a freaking cult, 2 of them, and you don't even bother to put extra security systems? Jesus Christ! But and the third thing is that some of the fight scenes just feel really like lacking in force sometimes, and also the other thing is that, I mean, I know Archie's a strong dude, I get that. I mean, he's ripped too, but it just seemed a little bit weird at certain moments where it's like, is this guy he's fighting the Terminator? Because like this guy is not getting much damage. Like he needs to use like the really heavy stuff to even put some amount of damage in him. But the fight scene was really brutal at some points. So they find the bathroom. I forgot his name. Casey Cott's character. What was the name? I'm blanking. I'm really blanking. Anyway, so he enters the picture. Archie manages to knock out the dude for temporary. They're about to escape. You know, when Archie gets like a very broken, I want to say joint or something. But the guy, Terminator style, he gets back up. He pushes, oh God, I forgot his name. Casey Cott's character. And Archie and him continue fighting. This kind of reminded me of the chicken fight where it's like, this guy just won't get down. This guy, like, they could have literally just done this fight scene for another 3 more minutes. I would have been perfectly fine with that. But, anyway, Archie's getting his ass whooped. Presumably he's about to die. And then, conveniently enough, Archie's uncle shows in and knocks him out with a trophy. That's presumably how they knock him out for good. And, yeah, so he had a feeling this wasn't over, so he scurried back to town. And so they locked the guy up. That night, Archie's talking with his uncle. Presumably, like, did Archie even bother going to the hospital? Like, his leg was limping. And we didn't see a single sign of him going to the hospital. you might want to get that checked out, Archie. I mean, I know you were attacked by a bear last season, but still, that's not an excuse to, like, just dip on the hospital. Anyway, so he and his uncle having a talk about, listen, you know, you should still turn yourself in, you know, get a plea deal, you know, maybe they'll give it easy on you. The uncle's considering it, but by the next day, he's gone. He left his medal for Archie. He left Fred's tool statue he gave him last episode. And it was like, listen, and probably like, he's not going to do it. He just can't do it. So he leaves. That sort of ends things at that moment. And then he talks to Mr. Jones about the whole thing. There's nothing that they can do because like they don't know where he's going. But instead, Mr. Jones asks him, well, what are you going to do? Because Archie's been through a lot the past few episodes dealing with his uncle's return and now his departure. So after all that, what are you going to do next? Because, you know, obviously with everything that's happened this year, what's next for you? And Archie just said, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be a simple man in the future. Simple my ass, because those flash forward scenes tell a very different story. I haven't even gone to the flash forward scenes. Like, this is reminding me a lot about Arrow Season 4, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. I don't even know how long we've been going for now. I don't even know. Like, my computer just shut off in terms of, like, me being able to see the time codes. This camera will tell me when I'm running out of battery. But let's go for the next quick subplot. Cheryl and Tony. I think it's Tony. Cheryl and Tony's new maple. Was it whiskey? Maple rum secret bar. That's right. We have another secret bar on top of the other secret bar we have under Pops. Are they just building sets for the frack of it? I mean, we didn't really need them to have a freaking like secret rum basement, I guess, but whatever. So anyway, Tony's taking care of business, and then actually there was another important detail where it's apparently Casey Cott's character and another character apparently having this very weird sexual video business on the side, I guess. I never knew the terminology for it. But anyway, back at the Maple Bar, a Season 2 character shows up. Like, this was very unexpected. I'm like, oh, wait, this guy looks like the guy from before. But like, oh, it's this asshat from Season 2 where he almost raped Cheryl. That was a very, very poorly edited episode in terms of the promotion. So Tony, on the wiser, agrees to kind of help him figure out, like, formulate some formal event for him and his friends for getting into Harvard. Cheryl rocks in, sees him again, gets flashbacks about it. Later that night, we see them having a talk. Cheryl admits to her that, you know, this was the guy who almost raped me 2 years ago. And Tony is not happy about it. So when the event comes, she kind of secludes him away in a bedroom, presumably drugs him. And, like, I'm assuming she just did a ticklish video, I guess. I'm not sure. But trying to get some proof on him, trying to get some evidence, some blackmail on him. Like, listen, you are never going to rape again. You're never going to do anything again because the moment you do something, we will release this tape and you are done. So, you know, kudos on that. People who do shitty things deserve shitty things to happen to them. So that's why that's what makes this episode okay at the end. Okay, let's get to the meat of this episode, the Betty Jughead part. So, the running gag is not the running gag. The running storyline throughout this season, besides the whole like flash forward stuff, is Jughead gonna die? Is there something more in play here? A lot of things don't make sense with the flash forward. It's definitely giving me a lot of Arrow Season 4 flashback, where we got the flashbacks, but the flash forward storyline, but not really a storyline. It was more like a prelude. It's like, and I say this more now as a storyline in Riverdale because we get more scenes about that. Where in terms of the Arrow stuff, we only got really the gravestone scene in the Season 4 premiere, and that kind of was guiding the Season 4 journey, which, from what I remember from Arrow Season 4, from the writers, I personally don't think they had a plan. Like, they knew, like, okay, this is a very different villain Oliver's going to face this season. So what we're going to do, we're going to showcase this guy's so fucking powerful, he's going to kill someone again. He's going to kill someone so close to Oliver, he sheds a tear at a tombstone. So we're just going to forget about when Deathstroke killed Moira, or we're going to forget about when Ra's al Ghul when Thea killed Sarah Lance for the second time? No, the first time. No. Well, technically it was the second time, but the first time was really like not really a death. It was more like a it was more like people. That would be your third time. Never mind. God damn it, that season was just so Because, like, you assume things were going to happen a certain direction, and the thing is that the character they ended up choosing was a bad decision. It didn't give her character in the comics enough justice. And I understand that with a comic book show, you're not going to adapt everything to a T to the show from the comics. I understand that, but that character was just so sentimental to the Green Arrow character that it was. I understand a lot of fans were insulted by that. And had it not been for the Flash introducing the multiverse, I don't think Arrow would have ever recovered from that, but thankfully they did, and they ended off the show strong, so I give them that. But in terms of Riverdale right now, I'm just very confused on the current storyline, because, like, when we end the season 3, something bad happened. When we got to season 4, it's like, okay, so it's the Stonewall prep guy's going to do it. How does Archie, Veronica, and Betty fit into this? How do they get involved in this whole murder plot thing? And presumably they did kill Jughead, but then the scene in the last episode before this one, significant, like, maybe Jughead's just gone. Something happened to him. And then after this episode, it just confused the plot even more. Like, obviously, whenever the season's over, and they stitch it all together, I'm probably still going to be confused. Because that's the problem when you do something like this. Where it's like, here's the thing. I follow the guy who runs all these Riverdale shows. I think he's a nice dude. I get that. But some of their writing style, some of their plot lines are very shoddy at best. Some plot lines are great. Some are good. Some are shoddy. And this is becoming still shoddy. Because I'm still confused. Like, and the timeline doesn't even work out anymore. And I understand. I still gotta get to this storyline. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about this storyline yet. I wish. But the point I'm trying to make is that when we ended off season 3, it was spring break. I presume spring break's in April. Then we come back in season 4, towards the mid-season finale, towards the mid-season premiere. We presume it was a month to go before the events of them murdering Jughead, supposedly. And they just keep saying 3 weeks, a month. So they're either stretching this out longer than Nancy Drew's arraignment hearing, or they just keep punting it back. So, I don't know. Supposedly there's, like, the weird thing is that there's an episode coming out called How to Get Away with Murder, and then the episode after that is a musical episode. Like, so you're going to potentially continue Jughead's death with a musical episode. That's what you're telling me, Riverdale. Anyway, let's get back to this storyline so I can wrap this up. So, Jughead challenges the season 4 douchebag to a series of challenges: a fighting, a boxing contest, fencing, and chess. Yes, very point-good academy activities. Because after last week's episode, they kind of like have a very major disagreement. It's like, okay, we're going to finally settle this. We're going to finally see who is the best man. And Jughead's morally focused on that this episode. Betty, having been suspended after the events of the quiz bowl episode, because presumably she cheated, but she didn't cheat. But her mom technically cheated for her, but she didn't go through on the cheating part. Whatever. So they decide, you know what? This Brett guy, something's up with him. He's probably has some shady shit going on, and we need to expose this guy. So, and also Betty's mom is conveniently as well on suspension from her newspaper. So they're both out of a job. They're both out of things to do. So, like, let's team up. Mother-daughter team up. I appreciate that. Did I really want it? Not really, but guess what? We got it. So they decide to follow the coil. They take Betty's murder investigation sheet, try and piece together what is going on with this. How do we get them? They start interviewing people. We get to see Moose again, who apparently has joined the army after he left Stonewall Academy earlier this season. Turns out the reason why he left is that Brett had a sex tape of him with someone. They never really clarified who, and they go along from there. And apparently, Moose the way Moose phrases like, "Oh no, did Brett film Betty and Jughead having sex when she was over?" They don't know that. So Betty decided, you know what, I gotta find this tape. I gotta expose this guy. We need to get to Stonewall Prep. So they do. However, conveniently enough, Brett shows up while they're looking for the tapes. But Brett's a little shaken. They're like, oh crap, they know about this. Secret room for the Quill and Skull, whatever the club is going to be busy doing the whole like chess game. So she decides to use the opportunity to like, okay, the sex tape has to be there. We need to go in there. They find nothing until she finds a very conveniently placed corner of the room that just looks fake as hell. So she opens it, has a bunch of VHS tapes. Brett is rich, and he decides to use VHS tapes to do his thing. I have no problem with the analog format of taping. I have no problem with that. It's just a bit weird, in my opinion, the fact that this is conveniently placed. But anyway, so she grabs a bunch of tapes, one naming Moose, one naming Donna, one naming Forsyth, which is his name for Jughead. But before they're able to get away, apparently Brett placed a silent alarm, convenient enough, in the room. They all run down there, they confront Betty. He tries to explain that these are not really sex tapes, they're just like confessionals of sorts. So he takes the tapes back, except for one, but we'll get to that momentarily. But they decided, like, you know what, let's just resume the chess game in the room, because why the hell not? Everyone's here, it's too much work to bring everyone back. Jughead decides to forfeit because he's just had enough of Stonewall Prep, enough of Brett's BS, and he quits. He quits the game, he let Brett wins, he quits the contract, he just leaves the school. Thank you, Jughead. Thank you. You did the Lord's work. We cut back to the Jones residence, I guess? The Cooper Jones residence? I don't know anymore. It's still very weird that, I think I said this before in the season 1 to 4 episode, the whole changes video. I said this before. I personally find it still weird the fact that Jughead's dad and Betty's mom had sex when they were kids, and that's totally fine. They had a kid together that they gave away. That's fine. Then years down the line, conveniently, his son and her daughter decide to get together. They just have a romantic ending. Maybe it's just in the family. Who knows? And then later on, Mr. Jones and Betty's mom decides to hook up again because Betty's mom is now widowed and Mr. Jones is already divorced. So technically they're single to fuck. So it's just a lot of weird stuff going on. If they ever do decide to get married, does that prohibit Betty? And again, if you're thinking of the flash forwards, does that even matter anymore? At this point, who knows? Who knows anymore? So Jughead and Betty are back at the house, kind of talking about how now Stonewall's over. Some stuff's still a little fishy, but it's over. He's out of the system. But Betty does tell him that I did manage to keep one tape labeled Donna. They review the tape. It turns out this is her confessional to her having sex with Mr. Sam Woodward's character from earlier in the season. But she was just repeating that. But the thing to stick out is this is the exact same wording to the T when she told Betty about it earlier this season. So this is obviously a rehearsed thing, so she's lying. So what did really happen, who knows? But then she names this other mysterious character that's not in the Stonewall records. So now we have an outside third-party entity controlling the events of this season. Who is that person? I swear to God, I think I know who it is, but I really don't want to go there right now. I really don't. So we're kind of left on this cliffhanger that Donna could be the villain. She could be the person to really fear, not Brett. And that's where we end the episode. Thank God. Okay, I think I got a headache. I don't know why. I think talking about Riverdale gives me a headache. And again, I'm gonna just clarify this again. I respect the actors. I think the actors probably have the best time on set. I think they have the most fun on set than any other show I've ever seen. It's just that all these storylines, man, it's just too much to track. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna look at this footage and it's gonna be over 40 minutes. I'm gonna guarantee you it's gonna be over 40 minutes. I talked a lot, and I already forgot I talked about Katy Keene like earlier this episode. Don't expect any more Riverdale Season 4 episode reviews from me. Nada. Okay, I'm done. Okay, this was an okay episode. The Katy Keene stuff with the Veronica stuff and the Tony's revenge plots were pretty good. The Archie plot was like, you were really stretching there, and then the Betty and Jughead arc really like, it's making the flash forward stuff really more confusing. Can we just get to the flash forward stuff so we can stop with it? Because it really bugged me that Arrow Season 4, literally, they pushed us to the very end of the season to figure it out. Not the very end, but like, we had to still go for like, I think 17 episodes of that before we got to the actual reveal who did die. Okay, I'm going to end it here. I'm tired. I'm going to drink a bunch of water, edit this down, and put this up because I am tired, guys. I am really tired. I hope you enjoyed me ranting. So, if you were unaware, this was What's in the Tube from ActionX. If you want to know what else is coming up on What's in the Tube, there's no more Riverdale stuff I'm doing anytime soon. Thank God. But, on a brighter side, tomorrow, the next time overall, we start our Katy Keene journey. We start her journey, her story with her friends, her world 5 years after Riverdale. Better or worse. And we'll see what happens then. That's next time, and that will begin the newest wave of sub-series for the Saturday Times on What's in the Tube, so stay tuned for that. I'm very excited to finally, hopefully, see some good stuff for once. I see a lot of good shows. I'm not complaining about Riverdale that much. It's just, it gives me a headache sometimes. Anyway, but if you only care about Riverdale, I don't know. I mean, you can watch my season 1 to 4 changes video if you're very interested about that. You can go check that out. I talk more about my feelings on that show there. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I have a headache. I have a headache. Here's the thing. I love you guys, but let's not do this again. If you want to see more of What's on the Tube, please subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell for notifications when we have a new video live. Like, favorite, share the video if you want to. Follow us on the social media feeds, including our brand new Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ActionXGames. We're currently doing Platinum Maxing for Spiral, Reignited Trilogy. I'm up to Spiral 2, but I haven't properly streamed that yet. I probably won't for a while. I'll probably do a stream tomorrow or the next day or whenever. I'm going to go pass out, guys. I'm really tired. I've been up since 7 a.m. in the morning. I had school, I had gym, I have other things to take care of, and I had this to do. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.